I'm on top of the world. Hey, I'm on top of the world. Hey.
Imagine this for a moment, climbing to the top of a peak more than 5 miles high, an elevation mountaineers call the death zone. The air has about 1/3 of the oxygen it does at sea level, and the human body literally starts to shut down. Now, think about skiing all the way down after you've done that. It may sound impossible, but only on CBS This Morning, Jan Crawford hit the slopes with a couple who just got into the record books by doing exactly that. Jan joins us from Washington. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning, John. You know, this is really a story about perseverance and believing that you can survive. Hillary Nelson and Jim Morrison are two of the world's most elite skiers. They've both overcome these incredible challenges, physical and emotional, to reach the pinnacle of their sport. Now, they invited us to their home in Telluride, Colorado, and then they had another challenge, getting me to the top of one of America's most scenic ski resorts so we could see how they did it.
This is one of the reasons I love being in the mountains. It's just beautiful.
The peaks of the San Juan Mountains are some of America's highest. Here at 12,000 feet.
Should we go see where you train?
Yeah.
Adventurers Hillary Nelson and Jim Morrison are going to show us where they trained for the impossible.
Y'all got to take care of me now.
For a novice skier like me, even this flat bit at the top of Telluride Ski Resort was daunting.
Take a deep breath.
But it was the only way to see this view of where the couple pursued a dream.
That's another couloir that shoots down through that rock face, and we ski that quite a bit.
You ski through that thing?
Yes, it's called side country skiing.
Their focus was half a world away, soaring 5 miles in the sky.
That little peak in the back is the 4th highest mountain in the world, right next to Everest there.
That so-called little peak was a 28,000-foot mountain in the Himalayas called Lhotse.
Wow.
And last fall, after 3 years of preparation, they not only climbed up it,
It's just hard.
they did something no one had ever done before.
Up top! Top of the world!
They skied down it. 7,000 feet down its face.
We just skied the Lhotse couloir and the Lhotse face all in one go.
In some of the most variable, challenging, death-defying conditions I've ever experienced.
Vertical drops in uncharted, unimaginable conditions. No room for error.
The smallest thing that goes wrong with your plan can mean a big difference between your eventual success or failure.
Or life and death.
Yeah.
You have to wonder why. What drives people like Nelson and Morrison to push their limits? Nelson grew up playing sports before skiing became her passion.
I think there's something really powerful about being persistent at something. And I think it's really important to live outside of this box we all create around ourselves and tell us what you can and can't do.
Now a mother of 2 boys, she also sees her career as a lesson for life.
More than anything, they understand the lesson is that it's really hard to take that first step.
Just try.
Try, yeah, just try. And you might not be able to do it, but at least you tried. And so then you know how far you can push yourself a little bit further the next time.
Eyes hurt. Lungs hurt more.
Pushing their way up Lhotse came with its share of suffering. But for Morrison, the physical pain on the mountain was nothing compared to the emotional trauma he went through 7 years ago. A trauma that's driven him to scale the world's highest peaks.
I lost my wife and children in a plane crash in 2011, and my world was ended in an instant.
Did you ever think you just can't go on?
Yes.
How do you get through that?
I found a way to get out in the mountains and do something that I loved and do something that I'm passionate about and do something physically active that helped me process my loss.
4 years after the tragedy, while climbing in Nepal, Morrison met Nelson, who had gone through a painful divorce. 6 months later, they began a romantic relationship.
I would give anything in the world to not have had him go through what you've gone through, but not having that ability to take those things away has made us who we are.
There's Everest.
Morrison's path to healing came full circle last spring while he was on a peak next to Lhotse, Mount Everest.
I spent about 45 minutes climbing by myself in this place that I was totally connected to my kids, and I felt like I was closer to them than I'd been in years.
Did you talk to them?
I talked to them a little bit. I talked to myself. I giggled and laughed, and I was totally alone at 28,000 feet.
Like you're that close to heaven.
It was like I was on the edge of heaven.
A few months later, Morrison was back on the roof of the world on Lhotse. This time, his companion was the woman who was defining the next chapters of his life.
We had a lot of life to live before we found each other and found our connection, and a lot of good things happen and a lot of bad things happen for both of us, and those are things we share now and understand each other. Are probably better climbing partners and skiing partners because of it.
I think we've been through enough experiences that we really appreciate just being in the moment.
And those moments, now shared together, whether on Lhotse or here in their Rocky Mountain backyard, are pretty spectacular.
Now, Hillary and Jim say there have been times on expeditions when they look at each other and ask, can't we just be climbing partners and not boyfriend and girlfriend? But more often they say it's their deep personal bond that really came from that intense tragedy and pain that makes them stronger and so good at what they do.